My wife and I really enjoy tabletop gaming, however Natalie can get a bit too enthusiastic with her dice rolling and we either have to reset the game board destroyed by dice or spend a few minutes finding where on the floor the dice have landed. It is time to confine her dice a little bit more to a dice tower. I'm not a particularly artsy person and this translates into many aspects of life, including artsy software. I initially tried modelling the dice tower in Illustrator, but it just wasn't working. If you can get accuracy for machining in Illustrator or Inkscape, more power to you, but for me it just wasn't going to produce good results. I switched to Fusion and within half the time I had twice the model. I'm not going to go into great detail of how this is modelled. It is a simple tab construction that could be cut out on the CNC, a laser cutter. It simply slots together like a box joint. By modelling it in 3D space, I could make sure all the joints lined up, and since Fusion is my CAM program, it meant I could just adjust as needed with the toolpaths. It didn't take particularly long to cut out, about 15 minutes a sheet, though that was with some very cautious feed rates and accidentally setting the material to thicker than it needed to be, resulting in an extra pass or two and my wasteboard being a bit scuffed up. Straight out of the machining it fit, but it was pretty tight. I lightly sanded and squared the inner corners, which made it fit a little too easily. A dab of glue locked it all in place though. With this particular model, with 3 45-degree baffles, you can see that sometimes one or two of the dice will end up pretty far into the tower, making it hard to read. I redesigned it to have two different size baffles on different angles, and hopefully this will get around, though the models for both towers will be in the description below. A dice tower alone in some kind of funky looking ply is not a good project to make, so I decided to step it up a little bit and also make a dice vault. I started with the dice vault I found on Thingiverse, but as it was designed for 3D printing, the actual file turned out to be pretty useless for my use, and I had to remodel it from the ground up. The machining took a while, so when it was doing the outside cuts, I decided to let it go just part of the way down, and then I cut it out on the bandsaw. Using the router table and a flush trim bit, I was able to get the bandsaw cuts flush with where they needed to be. For the lid I could have just gone with the same shape, but I decided to get a bit fancy and use a 1/16 inch bit to cut out the Dungeons & Dragons ampersand dragon logo. I then changed the bit, cut it out, flipped it, and using Fusion to set 0, 0 to the center of the lid, I was able to get the inside of the lid notched out pretty well. I should have been more careful with my material choice. This was some offcuts from a table or a TV unit or something for Mum anyway. And unfortunately the sap pockets did cause some tear out. To make it extra specially fancy, I decided to get some genuine imitation gold leaf and gild it. This is not something I've done before, but I thought I'd give it a shot. In hindsight, I should have milled the pocket for the dragon much shallower, as gold leaf really isn't all that thick. The supplier I brought the consumables from didn't have any gilding brushes left in stock, so unfortunately I had to make do with what I had. If you know of somewhere I can get the right brush, let me know. The final piece of the puzzle was to put in some 7x1mm magnets into the appropriate pockets, and they were secured with some thin CA. Despite their diminutive size, they are really pack quite a punch, and you can quite comfortably lift the whole container up from the lid. Thanks for watching.